So the House of Hell is an adventure game book from the Fighting Fantasy series. And art-wise, I've never actually seen this particular variant of the covers before, because there's obviously lots and lots of variations of these over the years, but for some reason I ordered one and I actually got 2 copies. Now, first look, they look identical, but when you look at the actual font itself, the colour on the actual books themselves looks ever so slightly different. Now this book here is in much better condition, so this looks newer than this one. You can see all the wear and tear that has gone through, which isn't much, to be brutally honest, but this has been beaten around the bush, whereas this one hasn't. This is in pristine condition, quite literally. There's no sign of any kind of damage at all on it, so I'd be very reluctant to actually open it up, but opening it up is exactly what I'm going to do. In fact, let's just do the sniff test. It doesn't smell like a new book, but it does have that distinct smell. There is a very distinct smell I noticed and that I could remember from my childhood years, because I really read these when I was in middle school more than anything else, and in high school and so on, when I sort of managed to find them and collect them myself. They all, despite the fact they're all different imprints and whatnot, they all seem to have the same smell to them. No matter how old they are, there's just some smell to the paper which is unique to Fighting Fantasy books. And some other adventure game books as well, as far as I recall. They all seem to have the same smell, which I can't quite put my finger on. But it doesn't matter where you find them, whether it's a school library, a public library, second hand, first hand, all the paperwork just seems to have this unique smell. I just don't know what it is. It's not cat piss, as at least one person said. Anyhow, as far as this particular book is concerned, it was first published in 1984, and this particular edition was published in 2002. So, going on the basis that this is newer, you can now see that it's doing that, whereas before it was perfectly flat. So, yeah, that does suggest it's never been opened, whereas this one, everything just opens quite nicely. This was actually published in 2003? Good God! Just to prove that, 2003. And this one, 2002. So the newer looking book. This is just basically, somebody has just kept this, they bought this for prosperity basically. And I've just devalued it ever so slightly by opening it like that. Anyhow, let's just review this by looking at the newer book, which is very well read. I mean, you can see the pages there straight away kind of fall apart a bit. Well, they're not falling apart, they just have a bit of a gap. But yeah, it's a choose your own adventure book, isn't it? It's got all the usual kind of rules that you would expect. Stamina is there, battles is being explained, fear, luck, weapons, fear. Let's just have a read through this. As well as surviving your adventures by ensuring that your stamina never drops to 0, in the House of Hell, you must avoid being frightened to death. Before you begin your adventure, roll 1 die and add 6 to the result. This total will give you the maximum fear score you can bear. Your fear score is the number of points you can take before being frightened to death. During your adventure, you will come across situations where you must, for example, add 1 or 2 fear points. Your fear score starts at 0, and you must add fear points as instructed in the text. If your fear score reaches the maximum, as rolled initially, see above, then you are frightened to death and must end your adventure. Note that fear works in the opposite way to normal skill, stamina, and luck scores. You start with 0 and increase your fear towards your maximum, rather than subtracting as you do with other scores. There really should be some flashing lightning at that point, shouldn't there? Okay, so obviously the usual rules in restoring skill, stamina, and luck, and of course somebody has left all of their markings on the sheets from when they were last using it. So let's just see. This person rolled 15 for skill, 18 for stamina, and 11 for luck by the looks of it. Eventually decreasing to 9, 16 and 14 on the rules. And that looks like they've had some kind of meat knife as their sole item of equipment. Oh, well, if you recognise this this handwriting, if this was your book, drop me a line below. You know, maybe I can get it back to you. I doubt it. Okay, so we've got the background and we've got all the drawings, which who does actually do the artwork? Illustrations, Tim Sell. Don't recognise the name, but I do recognise this here. On the newer books that they've got, they actually give you random dice roll pictures at the bottom. I thought that was new to the newer books, but it must have been introduced either around this imprint or possibly an earlier imprint, but it's an interesting feature. It does help, obviously, for people who don't have dice and don't know where to get dice, i.e. don't have any kind of board games of any sort to rake them out of. Ooh, dogs tearing something apart. They're Great Danes, apparently, because those don't look like Scooby-Doo to me. Well, Scooby-Doo was supposed to be the exception. They took everything that was good about the Great Dane and did a reversal on it. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's going to come back to haunt us. But I've not read this book at all, so I've got absolutely no frame of reference. Somebody's got a bone to pick with us. Spare ribs, anyone? Hunchback, yeah. Seen plenty of those before. I do like the artwork, although it does seem to be lacking something. Not detail as such, just perhaps shadows and shading and whatnot on the characters. It looks good, it's nice. It's a style I can certainly get into. But, they're the fire starters, twisted fire starters. You can tell because there's a fire right there. They must have started. Or was it already burning? I don't know. Somebody called the fire crew. But yeah, I've not read this one. Oh my god, what the hell's happened to him? It looks like some semi-naked butler type thing who's having a fit. But as I've never read this, I don't know what the plot is other than it's obviously the House of Hell and I can frighten you to death! Sorry, was that loud enough? If you're wearing headphones, I do apologise. It's the S&M section of the house. And we've got the archetypical, what the fuck is that thing? According to the text, it must be a ghoul. Yeah, I think the definition of ghoul does tend to vary quite a bit like zombie can sometimes vary somewhat as well, especially nowadays that we have zombie movies where zombies are able to run just as well as we do and seem to function pretty much the same as we do, just in a very psychotic manner, because they're not actually the dead anymore, they're just some sort of virus person with a virus infection of some sort. I don't know. I don't watch horror movies. Not often anyhow. So we've got somebody in bed here. It's quite an opulent display here. This is going to be quite interesting. Going off the artwork alone and the concept and whatnot, this is going to be quite an interesting read, methinks. And of course there will be a let's read. Oh, it's the Headless Horseman. He just has to find his jaw now, although it actually looks like a ghost given the way the details are on the legs there. Yeah, I do think just going off the artwork and concept alone, this is going to be quite an interesting read. Oh, it's the devil! He had to show up at some point, didn't he? So the let's read is probably going to be quite good, I should hope. Find... Well, it's a library, so you must have to find silence. Oh no, hang on, it's study according to the text here, so it's, yeah. But there's always been something quite fun about the fact that you're not on a fixed plot here. I have seen this picture somewhere before. I've been doing, obviously because of these reviews I've been doing lots of research to find more of the books, and I've been looking at the artwork search results on Google images, and I'm sure I've seen this on one of those searches, but it does kind of make me think of something I've seen somewhere else. Now, is this guy phasing his hand through the boar, or is it just not drawn in? No, there's no boar drawn there, so that must be the space where they get given their food or something. But, uh-oh, zombie again. Maybe it's just familiarity with the art. Okay, that doesn't look good. I think it might just be some familiarity with the art. I don't recognise the artist's name, but the chances are I've more than likely seen his art in some of the books along Fighting Fantasy or some similar lines, but yeah, I am definitely going to look forward. Oh, he's a smug-looking git, and this butler looks like he's seen everything before. The butler knows exactly what is going to happen, or what this guy is going to try to do at some point. And it's probably not going to be very good. It probably involves a shovel, the middle of the night, and a rather shallow grave. Yeah, that guy does does not look good. In fact, in many ways, he kind of looks a bit like the stereotypical view of Dracula. So he might be a vampire, he might not be. I just do not know. And that guy had better not been playing with himself, because it'll probably stink of it. Yeah, and then various other books in this series under this particular imprint version, including the House of Hell itself. So, and then we've got books specifically by Steve Jackson under the title of Sorcery, which I think I've heard of, but I've never read any of them and haven't looked into them. But yeah, as a first look, I'm quite impressed with that. I mean, it's a standard kind of artwork that must have been in since the first edition, just in a more modern cover as of 2002, 2003, 2004 kind of things. Let's just take a quick look at the blurb on the back here. Stranded miles from anywhere on a dark and stormy night, your only hope of refuge is the strange, ramshackle mansion you can see in the distance. But entering the House of Hell hurls you into an adventure of spine-chilling and blood-curdling terror. The dangers of the torrential storm outside are nothing compared to the nightmare creatures that await you within its gruesome walls. Be warned, you must try to keep your fear under control. Collect too many fear points and you will die of fright. Can you make it through the night without being scared to death? Part story, part game. This is a book with a difference. One in which you become the hero. A pencil and an eraser are all you need to make your journey. You decide which route to take, which creatures to fight, which dangers to risk. Whew. I think I'm actually put the willies up myself there. Well, not really. If I actually had regular viewers watching this, I'd probably have lots of sarcastic comments in the comments below saying, "Oh, you think you're scary, do you? You sound like you're Nancy," or something like that. Words to that kind of effect. Let's just comment on the actual creature that we've seen here. What the sweet merciful Cthulhu's. So the camera died on me just as I was about to comment on the artwork itself on the front cover here. And let's be brutally honest here, what in the Cthulhu-inspired nightmares of Geiger and Lovecraft came up with this? I mean, it's obviously part man, part whatever the fuck this is. I mean, we've got tentacles, we've got horns, we've got red eyes, we've got great big fangs, we've got a claw coming out of the belly. Is that a third arm, essentially? And that suit, that must have been a designer suit. Couldn't you have had the decency to take that off before you transformed into this nightmare that would make Lovecraft piss himself and Geiger probably commit suicide? Jesus. Yeah, whew. Let's just say the Japanese schoolgirls would probably take one look at this and run the other way. But yeah, not sure if it was actually written by Steve Jackson, but the artist obviously had a field day with that one. It does seem to be written by Steve Jackson because it's got his name on only in that regard. Text copyright 1984 by Steve Jackson, so it's an old one, but it's obviously a good one. And let's just see, there's obviously the website itself, there's the Adventurers Guild, latest news. You know, I think I might actually look at the website at some point. If that website is still working, I will put a link in the comment section below. In the comment section below? In the description below. Well, yeah, I'll probably do a sticky comment as well just to confirm any other thoughts I've had at some point after I've done the review proper. Anyhow, let's read to come. And let's just have a quick look through this. Does this show any differences in artwork and whatnot? I'm just flicking through quickly. No, everything looks to be the same. Yeah, it's all the same stuff in all regards, just in much better condition because this book has never actually clearly been read. Good God, who buys a book and never actually reads it? Never look at my bookcase because you'll see lots of books I've bought and never actually read because I just don't have enough hours in the day. Night night, don't have nightmares. Or if you do, don't blame me.